Colorado is getting stadiums full of people the unemployment benefits that were previously incomplete. We need to hope the blip in COVID numbers doesn't become a blurb. A blurb is next size up from a blip. Republicans in the state legislature unveiled their plan to start winning elections again, making it harder for Coloradans to vote. An HOA fight that could set case law for anybody in the state looking to let their flag fly. A young Coloradan from the Plains might end up with a college degree before she gets out of high school. And we're marking a milestone. I'll show myself out and then right back in, because somebody has to anchor next. The wait is over. Coloradans owed unemployment for 2 months are finally getting their money. We told you the horror stories. Now we can share the success stories of Coloradans getting relief, as well as a cautionary note for the future. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
I was paid to the penny exactly what I was owed from January 2nd until now.
8 weeks of benefits and 8 weeks of Congress's $300 boost was music to Adrian Miller's ears, which is quite fitting.
I teach preschool children's music.
Adrian is one of 135,000 people who just got paid since Saturday. Almost 2 full Mile High stadiums worth of people. Many of those just paid have been waiting for unemployment that Congress said they could get after the old benefits expired December 26th, but was delayed because of the calendar we talked about last week. Time between the president signing it and the U.S. Department of Labor issuing the rules that Colorado needed to then update the state's new unemployment system.
They've been working overtime trying to sort out these technical issues. I want to give them credit where credit is due. Some people really need some hope, and I think it's important for people to hear that some people are getting paid.
Since we launched phase 2, we've paid out more than $254 million.
That is since Saturday. That's the positive. But there are others who expected money by now, still waiting. Almost 23,000 have integrity holds on the ID verification system to make sure there's no fraud. 13,000 others are waiting for technical fixes that should be resolved this week.
We do think the system is working as designed. I think we are identifying issues with payment delays as we roll this out.
And if you hadn't noticed, the department is called Labor and Employment. While it runs unemployment, the department also helps facilitate jobs, like the virtual job fair it's hosting tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. A link to the job fair is on 9news.com right now.
We'd love to get the word out so that we could look at those 248,000 people that are unemployment insurance and give them an opportunity or a window in to see what's available throughout Colorado as far as opportunities for them to return to work.
For the 250,000 people on unemployment right now, here's another reason to check out that job fair. There's a possibility of another delay in benefits after March 13th if Congress does not act too soon. We've talked about that in the last week. The state cannot fund extra benefits. In fact, Colorado's unemployment fund is negative $823 million. And Kyle, that amount will eventually have to be paid back in fees paid by employers.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon question that we get, Marshall, as to whether or not the state could just choose to front the money and then square up with the feds later.
It could be a stimulus package that you could hear from the legislature or the governor, but based on what I heard from CDLE is that happened, that $375 that the governor offered back in December, that was what the state could do.
Marshall Zellinger, so professional, he makes me want to wear a tie. Thank you as always, Marshall. 14.1% of our state's population has received its first dose of the COVID vaccine. That's just under 812,000 people. About half of those people have both shots and are now fully immunized. 387 Coloradans are currently hospitalized with COVID-19. That's down 5 patients in a day. Hospitalizations continue to drop, but it's clear on the right side of the graph the way that it's kind of evening out. It's happening at a slower rate than at the beginning of the month. We had 406 patients in hospitals this time last week. We'd like to see the pace pick back up again so that we know that we're not seeing a sustained plateau in hospitalizations. And our recent gains in the positivity rate seem to have stalled out. We had another day up near 5%, 4.7%. Our weekly average is still in good territory at 3.7%. We'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Colorado Republicans have not fared too well in recent elections, and it appears that they have identified the problem. It's easy to vote in Colorado. So Republicans in the state legislature are going after Colorado's nationally celebrated all-mail ballot elections, trying to make it harder for people to vote in our state. This is happening across America right now. The Brennan Center for Justice found 3 times as many voter restriction bills being cooked up in state legislatures this session as opposed to last year's session. Colorado's bill to eliminate universal mail-in ballots, all voters get mailed a ballot, that went down in a Democrat-controlled committee today. Even the Republican who brought the bill, Senator Paul Lundeen of Monument, he votes by mail ballot rather than going to vote in person.
Well, the reality is I vote through a secured lockbox as opposed through the U.S. mail. So, and there's any array of options that people can do. Some of them, quite frankly, are better than others. Any number of different things that we could do to tweak the system could marginally or dramatically improve access, could marginally or dramatically improve validity.
The reason that these voter restriction bills are being pushed simultaneously by Republicans in legislatures across America is because they reinforce the former president's lie that there's widespread voter fraud. If there's widespread voter fraud, you want to get in, you want to clean up the system. Some prominent conservatives in Colorado tried and failed to get traction with their evidence-free claim that there's widespread voter fraud here.
There are artifacts that show limited fraud consistently, and that's a tragedy. That's part of this conversation. Let's tweak, let's improve, let's get things fixed. Do I think there was material fraud in Colorado's elections? My direct answer to that direct question is no, I don't.
After he said that, Senator Lundeen clarified to us that he would like there to be a process that proves that fraud does not exist instead of having to prove that there is voter fraud. Senator Lundeen knows that Colorado has regular election audits. Perhaps he figures that you don't know, or that I would not tell you that fact. Not clear. Last night, we shared the story of Colonel Fitzroy Newsom, one of the original Tuskegee Airmen during World War II. We mistakenly referred to Colonel Newsom by the wrong first name. We reached out to the colonel's family. I want to apologize to you as well for that error. Colonel Newsom's story is among those being remembered in a class at Regis University that highlights the contributions of Black Americans who fought for their country. Not even done with high school, and she's close to her college degree. We'll meet a small-town superstar from the Eastern Plains. And before the large boulder, the size of a small boulder, there was your obsession with the target rock. And believe it or not, hundreds of you were watching along with us when we saw it happen right in front of our very eyes, the red SUV. Boom! Hard news. Next. On the field of battle between homeowners associations and metro districts and residents, you can tell which side the residents are on because that's where you see all the flags waving and the occasional yard sign. The homeowners association side is armed with swatches of acceptable paint colors and sheaths of strongly worded letters. So there's this guy in Arapahoe County who wants to fly his pride flag high, and the ACLU is going to try to make an example out of his metro district in order to do it. Here's the gentleman's story. His name is David Pendry. He was warned he needs specific approval in order to fly this pride flag in his HOA. Apologize, we're having a little bit of a technical issue here. He was having an issue, I apologize. This is the HOA that is at 470 and Gartrell. Whispering Pines is the name of the HOA. He can fly an American flag, Colorado flag, military branch flag, or a sports team flag. Others need specific approval from a committee. ACLU has taken on this man's case because this is a metropolitan district, a government body rather than an HOA. So the ACLU is going to argue that much like a city can't restrict your free speech, neither can a metro district. And they're hoping that this theme spreads to HOAs.
I question the stance of homeowners associations that are going to say these constitutional rules don't apply to them. In Colorado, our state constitution says all persons shall be free to speak and publish and express their views. And I think that carries over even into these HOAs.
We reached out to the Whispering Pines Management Group for a response, have not heard back at this point. There are quite a few HOAs in the metro area that have kind of had this dispute play out in some form or another. A few of them, like the Lowry Community Association, decided that they would change their rules in order to allow those kinds of signs. The governor revealed in a roundabout way today that Colorado's energy regulators are looking into whether Coloradans paid sky-high natural gas prices last weekend when Texas's power grid was having all those problems. Governor's calling on utilities to notify customers before they hit them with a surge, and the governor even suggested that utility customers be allowed to opt into a rolling blackout in lieu of paying higher prices. The governor pointed to Platte River Power Authority's strategy on February 14th as a success story. We had told you about how Platte River was not able to ramp up its natural gas peak capacity, its production there, due to the supply crunch. What the company instead did was that it asked customers in northern Colorado to conserve their electrical usage during the peak time. They saw a 10% reduction, which allowed Platte River to meet demand.
From sunshine and 60s yesterday and today to snow and cold. There's a front coming through tonight that will bring in colder air and some gusty winds after a day with 63 in Denver, 71 in Lamar, and 74 in Springfield. The mountains will see snow early tomorrow. Denver won't see snow till about 5:30 tomorrow night, continuing into Thursday morning, and then the storm moves out. We're in the 2 to 5 inch range here in the city, with winter weather and travel advisories posted west and south of downtown. Partly cloudy and 21 tonight. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and 40 with evening snow, 2 to 5 inches, ending Thursday morning, cool and dry into Friday. The next storm and chance for snow for the state comes on Saturday.
What do we used to talk about? Well, back in the days when the bass guitar welcomed us here each evening before the pandemic dominated our discussion. Well, on a wet and snowy February day 4 years ago, we were talking about the most effective speed bump this side of the Continental Divide. It's been 4 years since then. The Target Rock, Colorado Mills parking lot. A crucial update now to a story that our Noel Brennan told you yesterday about the boulder in the Target parking lot at Colorado Mills, the one that people keep running over and high centering their cars. We went back today to stake it out because, you know, as we say, hashtag journalism. And believe it or not, hundreds of you were watching along with us when we saw it happen right in front of our very eyes, the red SUV. Boom! Up it goes. This happens. We told you it happens, and now we have video proof. All the people were losing their minds on the live stream. The comments were something to behold. People writing, "What does my life come to? I've been watching a rock for the last 6 minutes," Amanda said. Janelle Trujillo is like, "Am I the only one who wanted to see somebody hit it?" No, Janelle, everybody watching wanted to see somebody hit the rock. That was 4 years ago. 4 years is a pretty long time if you're a television show that expects to get canceled, but 4 years in the lifespan of a rock, that's just like a blink. So for the Target Rock, getting all those back massages from vehicles probably feels like it was just yesterday. But fear not, if you don't recall from 4 years ago, the Rock has gone on to a better place. It was moved to a different part of the parking lot where no one can hurt it anymore. A lot of high schoolers get side jobs to save up for college. Avery Bollinger's side gig is college.
Once I know I want something, once I have my mind set on something, then I will do what it takes to get that accomplished.
This extraordinary teenager from a tiny town in eastern Colorado is going to get her degree at the same time she gets her high school diploma. Next. While most of our high school classmates were trying to figure out what to do after they graduate, Avery Bollinger was already enrolled in college. The senior from Wiley High School on the Eastern Plains might actually end up with her bachelor's degree before she gets her high school diploma this spring. So let's head on out to Prowers County, out near Lamar.
You know, she's just a go-getter, and so I am not surprised at all that this is what she is doing while she's here with us.
My name is Avery Bollinger, and I currently go to Wiley High School, and I attend Fort Hays State University online.
My name is Melissa Larrick, and I am the principal in Wiley, Colorado. Avery Bollinger is a fantastic student. Right now, she is currently working on finishing her bachelor's degree through Fort Hays State.
Well, at first I did it because I knew that I was capable of doing it a bit. I had done high school courses and decided that I really just wanted to push myself and improve myself.
Now, depending on how the graduations lay out, she might actually graduate college with a bachelor's before she actually graduates high school, which will be kind of fun.
So I have to technically get my high school diploma first, but I will probably finish the work for my bachelor's first.
She is definitely busy.
There were semesters where from 6 in the morning to 10, 11 at night, you are doing schoolwork.
The sky, honestly, is the limit for that child.
Once I know I want something, once I have my mind set on something, then I will do what it takes to get that accomplished.
Love that attitude. Avery shared her story with our photojournalist, Corky Scholl. We asked her what her plans are post-graduation, since she's already going to have the degree. She said that she's weighing her options, including possibly spending a year abroad. It's awesome. Man, smart kid. Use that advantage. Well, the ice was nice out on Sloan's Lake last week. Not so much today as it approached 60 degrees. The most Colorado thing we saw. And your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is an ode to our recent cold. Ben got out the skates and head over to Sloan's Lake last week. Got in a nice sunset skate session, something he says he's been wanting to do for 5 years now. That is just beautiful. And you know that nasty cold snap that we have? It gave him the temperatures that he needed to go out there and make tracks. And then our own photojournalist Tom Cole got in some shots on goal during one of our morning editorial meetings. Every year, Tom sets up an outdoor rink at his house in Arvada. His boys love to skate. And now that everybody's working from home, Tom's just taking his meetings out to the ice. I like that. If you see something that just says Colorado and you want to share it with us, email us at next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. Encouraged by all the folks writing in tonight to say that they have received the unemployment benefits they have been waiting on since late December. It's really encouraging that phase 2 has come through for so many people. Keep us apprised as to hiccups in the system. I guarantee you that you have their attention at this point, and through us you've got a conduit for a conversation. Mark writes in to say, I remember watching the report on the Target rock, so much so when I tell out-of-town friends about how awesome the show is, I use it as an example of the quality journalism we have in Colorado. I don't know if that comment is sarcastic or not, but I really just kind of love it either way. And James McFall writes in tonight with a message simply saying, keep stirring. That's how you keep stuff from sticking to the bottom of the pot, James. It's vital. See you next time.